Welcome back, everybody. If you're new, my name's Nicholas, and this is Investing Against the Grain. In case you missed it, on Sunday, I had an interview with Alexandra, otherwise known as Tesla Boomer Mama. If you missed that, check it out. It was a great conversation. We talked about all sorts of things, Tesla-related, life-related, wine-related, so it was a great conversation. It was great to meet her. All right, in today's episode, we got to talk about some stuff because Tesla is on fire. And I'm talking about the stock, I'm not talking about the car. And I know you're probably thinking, oh, it was down today 30 cents. Trust me, it's on fire. So we're going to talk about what's happening tomorrow with the Fed, my thoughts, what I'm doing with my investments, my portfolio. We're going to talk about some interesting tweets from Elon Musk regarding Tesla, FSD, AI. So I think there's a lot to unpack there. And then finally, I want to touch on this Ford news about Ford warning investors about extra expenses they're going to have in the coming quarter. And, be careful before you cast stones on Ford or GM or anyone else because Tesla might have its own problems. So stick to the end for that one. All right, before we get into it, do me a favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, ring that bell. Let's get into it. Let's kick this off talking about the Fed tomorrow, interest rate hikes. Okay, Jerome Powell is going to come out and it's expected that he's going to announce a 0.75 or 75 basis point rate increase. Okay, so right now we're at about 225 to 250. This would put a 3 handle on the Fed fund rate. So this is going to be a big deal because it was estimated beforehand, before we got the latest CPI numbers, that maybe we would see a 50 basis point versus 75 basis point hike. Now, after we got the CPI numbers, even though inflation did come down technically, it seems like the market is baking a 75 basis point with about an 80% chance of happening and about 20% chance of a full 100 or 1 percentage point rate hike. So if they do a 100 basis point, a 1% rate hike, you're going to see a sell-off immediately. 75 basis point is pretty baked into the market. I would say 100 basis points, 1% is not baked in, and the market will not like that. If anything, I think if the Fed raises that much, the market's really not going to like it because the market's going to think that the Fed is overdoing it and they're going in the wrong direction yet again. Okay, so the Fed has a big issue right now with credibility. And so now it almost seems like they're trying to go too hard the other way, too fast, without giving a chance to let the current rates make their way through the market. You have a lot of people calling the Fed out now on this. All right, it's not just Cathie Woods, it's not just Ross Gerber. You have Elon Musk talking about it. You have people all over CNBC talking about it. There's got to be a point where we sit and we wait and we see, we give a chance for these rate hikes to permeate throughout the economy. And I don't think it's happened yet. So tomorrow will be interesting. What am I doing? Well, I'm not doing anything. That's what I'm doing. Sometimes doing nothing is doing something. Now, I am prepared to start doing some extra buying, a little heavier than I have been tomorrow if I see some opportunities. Now, personally, I think that we're going to see kind of a repeat of what we've been seeing. All right. I think tomorrow you'll see kind of a flat day. Jerome Powell comes out. He says 75 basis point. The market sells off for a little bit. And then by the end of the day, we're rallying. And then what happens? Well, the following day, so Thursday, all of a sudden we see the market sell off. Friday, sell off again. And then the following week, okay, we get a little bit back to normal. So there's no way to know that's what's going to happen. None of this financial advice. It seems like that's been the playbook as of late. Now, there is some potential positivity to come out of tomorrow, and it's all going to be based on Jerome Powell's rhetoric. So if he comes out tomorrow and he talks about this Fed fund rate, he talks about raising 75 basis point, but then he says that, okay, now we're going to be very data dependent. We'll probably do a 50 basis point in October or November and then 25 in December. And then we'll probably sit at 4 for a while. The market may like that. The market may run because of that. So be prepared. We don't really know what's going to happen. And to try and really predict it right now with any type of gambling, well, it's gambling. All right. Now, what I would recommend is if you are looking to get into Tesla or into any other investments, hey, this might open up a window for you. But in the big scheme of things, at least with the thesis of this channel, if you're looking long term, well, it shouldn't really matter in the big scheme of things. It really shouldn't. The only reason I'm potentially waiting is because I do have some cash on the side. I probably have about, I guess, 10 to 12% in cash right now, which is a lot for me to have in cash. And so I'm looking to slowly deploy it, but I'm still a little petrified about what happened over the past few months. So I want to see what the Fed does. I want to see what they're posturing, and then maybe I'll start buying into it. Okay, so tomorrow is going to be kind of a crapshoot. We'll see what happens, but I don't think anyone actually knows what's going to happen. And even if we did know what was going to happen, we for sure don't know how the market's going to react. All right. So with that said, I want to turn your attention to some tweets that Elon Musk put out over the last few days. So let's take a look at these. So we'll start off with this one. So this was Elon tweeting. This was yesterday, and he said FSD beta 1069.2.2, really, he corrected it later, looks good, extending to 160,000 owners in US and Canada. Now, there is, I don't know why, there's always some kind of ambiguity on the way Elon tweets where it's left to the imagination of what he actually means. Right now, we know that we have 100,000 beta testers. Okay. But does this mean extending to 160,000? Does that mean you're adding 160,000 or are you adding 60,000? Right? It's kind of a question up there. And as we scroll down here, you can see he corrects it. And even Matt goes ahead and reiterates the same question, right? He's saying, is this 160,000 new users or total? All drivers would score a greater than 80. So found that pretty interesting. I'm not really sure which way it goes. The way I read it when I first read it was that he meant an additional 160,000 users. So 100 plus 100 is 260,000 users of FSD beta. That would be pretty wild. And I think that would signal a very big, next level step about what we're getting to. Personally, I've been driving, I haven't driven .2 yet, or this newest release, but the other version, it's been doing phenomenal. I mean, it's not perfect at all, right? But it's all my drives are essentially zero disengagements. Very, very rare do I have an intervention. But the reason I say it's not perfect is because there's still some quirkiness, right? Like some stuttering sometimes in the turns, some a little too much hesitation at times. It's like, all right, just go. So my abrupt stopping sometimes when it's like, oh, we're going to miss the turn, right? So just some quirks like that, but it's zero disengagements, zero interventions. So though it's not perfect, it is doing the drives without any human intervention. And it's just, to me, at this point, it's about smoothing it out and adding incremental abilities. So speaking of that, let's take a look at this next tweet. So here you can see John asking Elon, could the vehicle initiate the turn signal before switching into the turn lane? It uses the signal for speed-based lane changes, but not for merging into a turn lane. Elon said yes. And then Tesla owner Silicon Valley says, Elon, when will the Tesla speed up when noticing traffic is going faster? Sometimes it's going slow. He says next month. Then, this is the most notable part and why I'm really sharing this. Elon says, note, Autopilot and AI team is also working on Optimus and actually Smart Summon / Autopark, which have end of month deadlines. So that's very interesting. So it's interesting to me because he's talking about not just Optimus, but also the Smart Summon and Autopark. So why do I find that so interesting? Well, I find it interesting because why would they have a deadline for that by the end of the month? Okay, Elon's already talked about having this extra point release after AI Day, but it seems like they're really trying to push towards a deadline for this Smart Summon and Autopark. And in my mind, this makes me think Robotaxi yet again. You guys know, I really think they're going to announce a Robotaxi soon. I think they're going to announce a Robotaxi during AI Day, or at least tease us or unveil something of the nature, right? Very much like what they did with the bot. Maybe it's not a full reveal. Maybe it's not a full presentation. Maybe it's just, hey, take a look at it and we walk away and that's it, right? Just keep the people guessing. But the point is, why else would they have this deadline? Maybe it's just arbitrary. Maybe it's just a coincidence. I don't know. So I thought this was very interesting. So keep an eye out for that. They obviously have aggressive deadlines going on here. They're putting a lot of work into Optimus. Obviously, FSD beta is a very crucial and important part for Elon Musk to get this done this year, or as close to done as he can. And for him to be taking the autopilot and AI team and diverting some of them to Optimus as well, it just shows you how important Optimus is as well to get off the ground. And so we'll see what that looks like at the end of September. I mean, about a week and a half from now. So keep in mind also, I forget who, I think it was Omar. Someone mentioned that there's the autopilot AI team, but then there's also the FSD team. And apparently those are two differentiated teams. I'm not too sure how true that is, but it is worth noting. So if you guys know, let me know down below in the comments. And yeah, it's just want to point that out. All right. So I want to talk about one more thing. I mentioned that Ford had kind of a rough day. So let's take a look at this. So here we can see the headline on CNBC: Ford stock suffers worst day since 2011 after cost warning shedding $7 billion in market value. So if we scroll down, you can see here the losses come after the automaker pre-released part of its third quarter earnings report and warned investors of $1 billion in unexpected supplier costs. All right, so I know a lot of us are sitting here thinking, yeah, we've been saying this for a long time. This is happening. And yeah, supplier costs, these chip shortages, right? We keep hearing all these people saying this, but why don't we see this with Tesla then? And, you know, it feeds into a lot of the narrative of what we've been saying to ourselves and to the community and to our friends and our families and anybody who will listen, right? But I would caution everybody, before we cast any stones, let's at least get through October. Let's get through our earnings. Let's get through our delivery numbers, because we don't really know what effects it might have on us. Let me just play devil's advocate. Elon's all of a sudden saying that we need to stop increasing rates. If anything, we need a rate cut. Why is he saying that? He's obviously seeing something. Is he seeing softness in Tesla demand? Is he seeing softness in Tesla sales? Now, you might be how I was about 24 hours ago. No way. There is no slow demand issue for Tesla. There's no slowdown or anything. And then I saw this tweet from Troy TSLA. Let's take a look at this. So here we see Troy saying, I tweeted this 18 days ago, but weekly Tesla insurance registration in China since then have been low. 100,000 deliveries is not going to happen in September. 90,000 also looks unlikely now. Just want to make sure people are aware of this. My point in bringing this up is not to come off as like a Tesla bear, right? Which I'm the furthest thing from that. I'm all in on Tesla. But just let's not cast stones on Ford or GM. Let's have a little humility. You know, it's okay to be the big dogs, the winner, the ones with the best margins and all that, and not have to be, for lack of a better word, a douche about it. All right, let's at least make sure that we're doing okay. Let's make sure that we don't get on to the earnings call and Elon and Zach are talking about some softer demand, how we're seeing that everything that's happening in China is forcing people to push off deliveries or cancel deliveries, right? Especially when I believe Tesla's giving incentives right now to have people from China to actually come and take their reservations. They're offering them discounts. So let's just take it with a grain of salt. Let's have some humility. Let's get through October, and then if everything seems good, if everything seems on the up and up, well then, hey, you know what? We're probably going to see a rally in the stock market, and that should be more than enough. We shouldn't have to brag about it. We should be able to be, you know, a little bit better than everybody else, all the Tesla Q, all the bears, all the naysayers. All right, so just want to share those things with you. Tomorrow, guys, listen, it's going to be okay. No matter what happens, we are going to be fine. Tesla stock is on fire. All right, look at what it's doing compared to the market. Look where we are right now compared to where we were before. Right now, we have another 75 basis point rate hike, maybe even a whole 100 basis point, 1% coming, and Tesla is over pre-split $900. All right, it's holding up remarkably. It is bucking the trend with the NASDAQ. So be proud of that. Be happy. We are on fire, even if it feels like we are on fire. All right, so we're going to leave it there. Do me a favor. If you like this type of content, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, ring that bell. Love you all. Talk to you tomorrow. Peace.